some of the most vulnerable people in our community, senior citizens and others who are disabled.
7 investigator Heather Catallo shows us how several local families say they've now lost all control over their parents' health care decisions and their finances.
This case started with a serious dispute between siblings. At the last minute tonight, 2 of those siblings, Lori and Sandy Kapp, went to a judge to try to stop us from showing you this investigation. Instead, the judge issued this court order saying we cannot show any images of the Kapps' parents, so you won't see their faces in this story. A hearing on our objections to the order is scheduled for Tuesday. At least 37 calls to 911 in just 10 months.
I need you to stop yelling. I need you to stop. I'll be quiet. What's Bloomfield 911? Where's your emergency?
Mila Campestis says these emergency calls have been made from her parents' West Bloomfield condo ever since a court-appointed guardian took over their lives.
I really can't talk about it because then I will break down. It's hard to watch your loved ones suffer. That's the hardest thing.
Mila's father, Mylan, is 94, and her mom, Janet, is 93. Mila tells us they both have dementia and need round-the-clock care, which she was helping to provide until one of her sisters locked Mila out of the house. Mila says she suspected abuse and went to Oakland County's probate court.
We noticed that my father had a pressure sore, and my parents were sleeping in their own urine.
Mila says she wanted to take over the caregiving for her parents, but instead, the judge created a visitation schedule for all 4 siblings. So now Mila is only allowed to see her parents 3 days a week. And during that court hearing in November of 2016, Judge Daniel A. O'Brien said, quote, "I'm appointing a public administrator, Barbara Andrucci, as the Kapps' guardian and conservator. That means the Kemp Klein attorney had total control over the Kapps' lives, including their health and their money."
Things went downhill from there.
A public administrator is an attorney who's appointed by the state attorney general to handle estates after someone dies without an heir. The public administrator law says nothing about them being used as guardians for someone who's living, but that's how they're often being appointed.
And they're appointing these public administrators because they believe it will stop the anxiety between families.
Andrucci never resolved anything. She never did anything.
With Andrucci in charge of the Kapps, Mila and her attorney, Douglas Kuthi, say her parents' health got worse.
We reported to her that my parents had been falling. Ms. Andrucci's response to my attorney was, "It's unfortunate, but old people fall."
Failed to recognize that the ward was hospitalized, failed to take care of it, failed to provide anything. I filed a motion for an evidentiary hearing in regard to that. She resigned in the face of it.
That's when Judge O'Brien appointed a new guardian, yet another public administrator, Thomas Brennan Frazier. For 6 months, Mila says she's been asking Frazier for a wheelchair ramp so her parents can leave their house.
He doesn't respond to anything. 1 out of every 10 emails, I'll get a response.
Mila and Doug say when they try to get answers from the judge, they get shut down. Our cameras were rolling last week while they waited 45 minutes, but Judge O'Brien did not take the bench for a scheduled hearing.
Here is a copy of the opinion that he issued.
It's very disrespectful to my parents who are in their 90s. They seek justice, and from what I can see, they aren't getting any.
What Frazier and the other professional guardians and conservators are getting is money. In the Kapp case, court records show Frazier and Andrucci both charged $245 an hour for attorney fees, and their various staffers charge anywhere from $35 an hour to $165 an hour. In just 10 months, they've billed for nearly $14,000 in costs for the Kapps.
Guardianship is one of the easiest weapons to use to financially exploit the vulnerable.
Americans Against Abusive Probate Guardianship Director Rick Black calls Oakland County a hotspot for probate problems and says the guardians, who are also public administrators, have an unfair advantage.
Their capability in that courtroom is pretty much carte blanche.
I caught up with the CAP's guardian after court.
The judge consistently refers to you on the record as a public administrator, so...
It's by habit. I have a lot of cases.
How many guardianship and conservator cases do you have?
I don't know.
We have several families that are telling us that you bill an awful lot of money but don't do very much. What is your response to that?
And that's just not true. My bills are my bills.
No one can believe this is happening. For my father, who is a veteran, he protected this country. For him to be treated like this, for my mother who worked her whole life to be treated like this.
The original guardian in this case, Barb Andruccioli, has not gotten back to us to comment on this, and she has been previously terminated as a public administrator. We should point out there is currently a criminal investigation underway in Oakland County into the actions of public administrators. I'm Heather Catallo, 7 Action News.
All right, thank you much, Heather.